Hello YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of CGL's New Jersey Collectibles. In this episode, it's been long in the waiting, but it's finally here. We're going to do a CGC unboxing. First time we're doing this on the channel. First time Dad and I have gotten any of our books graded by CGC, or just graded in general. There's some really cool books in here, some grades that we were expecting, some grades that we weren't expecting, and overall a really great experience. Dolph, who has a YouTube channel called Junkyard Breaks, he pressed and cleaned these books for us before we sent them out, and we still have two more that are in the grading process. They haven't come back yet, so I don't know why they take your whole batch, but then they send some books back, and some books they're still holding on to for a longer time. Obviously, I don't know what that whole process is, but whatever it is, it's our first time doing this, so I'm just along for the ride at this point. And yeah, overall really excited. Like I said, some of the grades were pretty surprising in a good way. Fortunately, there was no book in here that I'm disappointed with. Everything I either expected it, or it's above average, above what I was thinking. So that's really cool. Listen, content's been a little slow lately. I do apologize for that. Some of you might know I didn't post anything to YouTube, but if you follow me on TikTok or Instagram, you know that recently we had a flood in the basement, and it was pretty substantial to where the entire basement floor was covered with water, with exceptions of some spots, but most of it was. Some books did get ruined, unfortunately. It was a lot of the stuff that we had purchased recently that's been shown on the channel. A lot of that stuff did actually get water damaged, because it was not properly put away yet. It was still out, and we were still, you know, moving stuff around, and it just wasn't, it was going through the grading process and everything like that, so it just was stuff that wasn't put away. And we don't normally have floods in this basement. You know, I'm gonna knock on wood for the future, but in my 16, 17 years of living in this house, we've only had 2 floods, so it was really unexpected. It was internal. It was something that happened on our end, and you know, we just got to make sure it doesn't happen again, because it was pretty disappointing, and it was pretty frustrating too also. So it's not that we don't have any content, it's just that I've been slow getting it out. So there's a lot of great stuff coming your way. We have this video today. We have a lot of good flea market videos, and a couple stores that we're going to go back to and take a trip to. So I have a lot of stuff that's coming. Just, it's going to take time. Please just be patient with it, and if I'm only getting out 1 video a week, you know, that's kind of the norm on this channel. I would like to get more videos out a week, but right now it's, you know, it's a little hectic. So as long as we stick to 1 a week, we should be pretty good with that, and I think there's a lot of really good stuff for you guys that you're going to enjoy. So without further ado, let's spin the camera around, and we'll get into this first ever CGC unboxing here at CGL's New Jersey Collectibles. Alright guys, so I'm going to give you these books kind of in order. For me, I'm going to give you them in order of like coolness factor, which is totally up to me and me alone. I know some people might think that some of these books are cooler than others, but I'm going to give you them in the way that I view them as you know, that how I like them. So first we have Eternals #1. Now we sent out 2 Eternals. One, this is the regular version. We also have the rare 30-cent price variant version. And, you know, I'm just going to say right off the bat, when we sent these books out, okay, with the exception of the X-Men book and the Marvel Premiere also. Is it Marvel Premiere? Marvel Premiere, yeah. I wasn't expecting any of these books to get better than a 5 or a 5.5. So some of them were pretty rough, and I thought that like kind of 5 was like capping a lot of these books. So just keep that in mind as we're going through. And some books, you know, I was spot on with that, and other books I was very, very wrong. So even the Marvel Premiere first Scott Lang, I was expecting more of like a 7 or a 7.5 out of that, and you'll see what that book came back as. But here we go. Eternals 1. 1976, origin and first appearance of the Eternals, Jack Kirby, story and artwork, 5.5. Look at that. So, you know, definitely on the higher end of what I thought it was going to get. I thought it was certainly possible that it got lower than that. I'll zoom the book in so we can look at it closely. It's got some spine wear. You know, no doubt that was a big factor in the grading. You know, guys ask me kind of how I come to my grading terms, And I'll be the first one to say, I'm not a professional grader. You go through any of my eBay listings, they all say the same thing. They all say, please use photos for your own discrepancy. I am not a professional grader. I don't claim to be. And oh, just so you guys know, some of you are curious that this was off-white to white pages. You can see the back here is pretty nice. It does have some marks here and stuff like that. But as I was saying, when I grade books, especially when I'm grading books when I'm making the purchase, you know, when I'm making a purchase or when I'm selling a book, anytime I'm giving somebody the opportunity to buy a book, I grade fairly conservatively. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I see people that they grade a little loosely and they'll take a 4.0 and they'll call it a 4.5 or a 5.0 or even higher sometimes. Some people, when they post listings on Instagram, they'll say, or Instagram or eBay or whatever the case may be, they'll say, you know, like 7.0 question mark. Like, it's probably not a 7.0, but you're just trying to lure somebody in who you can convince that it's a 7.0, you know. For me, if I have a book that's a 5, I'm gonna call it a 4 to 5. You know, I'm gonna give you the lesser of that grade to kind of consider, and that's just, you know, that's because I'm not a professional. So if I was a professional, you know, I would say exactly what I think it is. But because I'm not, I'm gonna grade a little bit more conservatively. I don't want to screw anybody when I make a purchase, and when I'm making a purchase for myself, a great example is that Amazing Spider-Man 29 that I was looking at. You know, I was looking at it as, I'm going to grade, if I were to sell this to somebody else, I would grade it pretty conservatively. So that's how I'm going to make the purchase on it. I'm going to make a conservative purchase on it. So that's just how I grade, and it's because I'm not a professional that, you know, when I make a purchase or when I'm selling an item, I have to represent myself. So I say straight up that I'm not a professional, and this is my opinion as to what the book is. Okay. So now, like I said, I'm not doing this in any kind of particular order other than what I deem to be cool. So take that with a grain of salt. So next book coming up, not a first appearance, but it is a first title of Spider-Woman #1, her first solo book. Like the Eternals, this is also a newsstand. And like I said, no really key with this, which to me is why it's, you know, it's not as cool as some of the other books. But yeah, I mean, this is one of those books that I thought was probably between a 6 or a 6.5 or something like that. You know, I thought it was in pretty good condition, but, you know, I definitely wasn't expecting the grade that we got on it, which is an 8.0. So really psyched with that. An 8.0 on Spider-Woman 1 from 1978. Obviously the black cover, you know, makes it a little bit easier to spot kind of chippings and dings and dents. But I mean, honestly, now that I'm looking at this book after Dolph pressed it and cleaned it, it really doesn't have a lot of issues with it. So it's not surprising that it came back in 8.0. Really nice. Came back 8.0, white pages, in case you guys missed that. Take a look at the back of the book. The back of the book looks, you know, almost mint. Really nice. And obviously, you know, this is my first time grading. So apparently back in the day, they used to give graders notes on the back of these slabs as to why the book got the grade that it did. They don't do that anymore, but I believe you can use the QR code to kind of find the grader's notes. Am I right or wrong in that? But or it's just they just cut it out altogether. But I know you can use that QR code to look up something about this book in particular. Unfortunately, I'm using an Android that I first got back in 2015 or 2014, I believe. I think it was 2015, and that phone does not search up QR codes, so I can't. Just think about all this time, guys, all these past couple years of COVID. Every time somebody pulls out a QR code, I can't look at it, and I try to explain that to people. I'm like, it doesn't work. No, my phone does not work. Once again, it's not a key first appearance, but it is a key issue. Here's a book that it's just the grade on this is really surprising. First of all, we have it's Marvel Spotlight on Moon Knight, number 28. It's Moon Knight's first solo title after appearing in Werewolf by Night. I'm not sure if he appeared in anything else prior to this book. But, I mean, just before I show you guys the grade, let's just take a look at the condition. You can see right here, you know, this kind of white press that's all over the book. Dolph believes that this book was smushed up probably against another book, and it got a lot of its ink on it, which makes total sense. It just looks like, you know, it's all over. It's all over. And before I show the grade, let's hide this. Take a look at the back of the book, which it's the same thing. It's just black ink just all over this book. You can almost make out the title of what was pressed up against it. But yeah, so I mean, what do you guys think that this book would come back as? I would have said when we sent it out, kind of between a 3 or a 4 at best. And Dolph working his magic on it. He cleaned it up as best he could. It comes back a 6.0 white pages. Really nice. Once again, another newsstand copy. When Dolph got this book back and we reviewed it on his channel, to him, this was his pride and joy that this one, he was really proud that he was able to clean it up significantly enough to get it a 6.0, because he thought it was, like I said, kind of a 3.5 or somewhere in that range, and to get a 6.0 out of this book is really nice. I mean, look, I always talk about how does the book present? Does it present well? And, you know, you look at this book and you might look at all these little smears and stuff that are kind of pressed up against the book, but honestly, that's if you get right up on it. If you're looking at it from a distance, you know, kind of how you guys are seeing it now, you know, it looks really nice, because there's nothing wrong with any of the borders here. I mean, there's no tears, there's no creasing, there's nothing like that. It's just that this book was pressed up against something else, and it probably wasn't bagged and boarded for a considerable amount of time, and it was leaning up against another book or something in a newspaper, I don't even know, and it just got a whole bunch of ink on it. But it's, to me, it's one of those books that it does kind of present well. I mean, it's not ideal. Like, let's say it doesn't have let's just say it doesn't have the smudging on it, you know, it comes back a 9.0 plus, because the book condition is just immaculate. It's just that it does have these condition issues with it, and yeah, 6.0, we're really happy with that. I mean, that's way better than we were expecting, and that's kind of the theme of this unboxing here. I'm sure the more I do this, the more disappointed I'll get over time, but we were really pleased with everything that we got, because everything came back better than expected, really. All right, this one is probably the rarest book in the bunch. This is 1976 Eternals #1, and this is the 30-cent variant. As you can see, this 30-cent Canadian variant, I believe it's Canadian, but that is very rare. I mean, there's a lot of books that have kind of price variance, and there's a lot of books that, you know, they might come in a 35-cent or 40-cent price sticker, and there's a lot of books that are like, you know, UK variants or Mexican variants or Spanish variants, but this price variant is actually one of the rarer ones, so it's really unique to find this kind of book. It's one of those books that if it came back really, if it was really in high grade condition, it would be a really, really sought after book, and it still is. It's just condition is everything with these books, you know. And so, I mean, we got kind of a little rip off the cover there, and we have a big ugly water stain kind of down here, which does leak on to the back, as you can see. And, you know, the rest of the back of the book is pretty nice, but that stain is kind of glaring. So, you know, what do you guys think that this is with all that condition issues? You can see the top of the book here has a little bit of smudging, and it's not overall in great condition. Which is why we were very happy to get a 4.5 out of it. Super, super stoked that this book came back 4.5. It is very rare, a very rare book, and we looked up kind of the price difference between the regular Eternals one at a 5.5 and this at a 4.5. And the Eternals one at a 5.5, you know, I think we estimated it kind of between $30 and $50, somewhere in that range. But this book is pretty much 4 times that price, even in its condition, just because the 30-cent variant is that much rarer. It is that much harder to find. So that's really cool. You know, it's just one of those books that when we bought it, we didn't even know what it was. People on YouTube, obviously, you guys pointed that out very quickly, that this was a very rare book. and there's no doubt that it's one of these books that the odds of finding it raw, you know, kind of just out in the wild are slim, and we did it without even knowing. So there you go. I mean, now that we know, we'll probably never find this book again out in the wild, but not knowing, you know, we were able to find it, so that's super cool. And we got 2 books left. Now I'm going to turn this camera around just to make a quick point. All right, so I'm turning the camera around just to make a quick point about these next 2 books, because and you know what? People are not going to like what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it because I don't want this channel to be fake. I don't want this channel to be hype driven. I don't want this channel to, what I do want this channel to do is give you guys the real insight as to what I'm thinking. Whether I'm right or wrong isn't really the point. It's I'm going to give you what I believe to be true, and I'm going to give you my strategy as to what I'm trying to do. And you could do whatever you want with that information. You can criticize it, you can agree with it, you can follow it, you can disassociate with it. That's totally your call. I just want to keep in mind that these next 2 books that we are pulling out, okay, these are the only, and I say that, just bear with me here, these are the only 2 books that I have purchased on this channel that I consider to be long-term hold keeper books, putting into the personal collection and holding on to. Listen, we've bought a lot of books on this channel, and look, I'm speaking for myself, I'm not speaking for my dad, okay? So my dad has his own buying strategy, my dad has his own collecting habits and his own ideas as to what it is he wants to keep and hold on to. So I'm just speaking for me. So, you know, if you want to criticize somebody, you can point the finger at me. I am not, I'm not trying to put together complete runs of books. That's not what I do. B, I always try to resell. So every time I make a purchase on a book, you know, I'm trying to do one of 2 things. One, I'm trying to create content for you guys. I'm trying to show you guys really cool books. I'm trying to show you what the kind of fair market value is on some of these. And the other thing that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to resell the book. And so sometimes I'll buy a $100 book, and I'll pay close to $100 for it, for the content. And sometimes I'll look at a $100 book and I'll say, well, I'll offer you $60 for it, or I'll offer you $50 for it, just because I'm trying to resell to create value and try to make profit, and I'm also trying to buy books to create content for you guys to enjoy. So, but don't confuse what I'm saying here, because while I am buying all these books, while I am trying to resell and create content, do all these things, I also want to try to get into the investment aspect of these comic books, guys. Investment aspect. That does not mean I hold on to everything that I buy and everything that I buy is a investment. That is not what that means. So one person that I'm going to turn you to, a lot of you guys that I'm sure are very smart about all this kind of stuff, a lot of you guys are going to love this channel. A lot of you guys are going to love this channel. And a lot of you guys that are kind of more, you know, you're more of a collector than you are an investor or a reseller, you're probably not going to like this guy's channel as much. But for me, who I've been following Sean of Reserved Investments for several years now, I kind of got into him. I watched one of his earliest videos back when Disney bought he did a video when Disney bought Star Wars and what that did to the market. That was the first time I ever watched any of his videos. And then I got into his channel a lot more in depth during the pandemic, when he started doing the Marvel trading cards videos, because you know, I was looking into that market as to because I had trading cards to sell and I wanted to hear what he had to say about it. Anyway, he has a great video that I'm going to put right here, and I'm going to link it down in the description, how to invest in comic books, or his top 5 investing tips for comic books. And while I don't follow his rule 100%, you know, in this particular video with these particular issues, it is, in my opinion, it is some of the best content on YouTube for investing in comic books. And he's not the kind of guy that, you know, wants to take you down this nostalgia road and hold your hand and kind of tell you how great everything is. He's just going to give you kind of the God's honest truth about these markets as a long time investor in these markets. He's going to tell you exactly what you need to know for anybody that's interested in investing in collectibles. For anybody that has the means to invest in collectibles, because that's kind of where I'm at, you know, right now at this point in my life. I don't have the means to be investing in collectibles. But like I said, this whole channel that I've been doing it for about over a year now, these are the 2 books that I've bought so far in 1 year's worth of YouTube videos that I'm considering keepers. So I'm just trying to keep it 100% straight with you guys. I don't buy these books, okay? I don't buy any of these books under the impression that everything I buy, I'm going to hold on to it. It's going to all go to the moon. I'm going to be able to retire off this stuff. That is not what this channel is about. I don't want this channel to be about stuff like that. I want this channel to be real. I want this channel to be genuine. And I want you to know that out of all the books that I've ever purchased on this channel, these are the only 2 comic books that I am considering to be keepers. Just keeping it 100% straight with you guys. So you can do what you want with that information. I really suggest you check out this guy Sean, his channel, his videos. It's such good information. It's not information that you want to hear. It's information that you have to hear. Big difference. So I'm a big fan. If you guys go to any of his videos, if you go to his channel, if you feel like contacting him for the first time, and let's say you've never watched any of his videos, just let him know that CGL's New Jersey Collectibles sent you. Let him know that you discovered his channel through here, just because, you know, I want him to know that other guys are watching. I want him to know that a young collector slash soon-to-be investor is paying attention to what he's saying. And just if it's your first time watching his videos, just let him know. CGL's New Jersey Collectibles, that kid over there on that YouTube channel, he sent me over here, so that's great. All right, let's get into these last 2 books that I am really proud of and I consider to be long-term holds. All right, so the first book that I'm going to show you came out of this South Carolina purchase, like most of these other books. It is a newsstand. It is 1979. It is Marvel Premiere number 47. Key issue because it's the first time Scott Lang becomes Ant-Man. Now just keep in mind, this is not the first appearance of Ant-Man. This is not the first appearance of Scott Lang. This is the first time Scott Lang becomes Ant-Man, which obviously Scott Lang is Ant-Man in the MCU Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he's the guy that we all know and love today, which is why for me, this book is very significant. I believe it to be a good long-term hold because the people who are growing up on Avengers today, the people who are watching the movies today, all the kids, teenagers, young adults that are watching Avengers today for the first time, this is their Ant-Man. This is the real Ant-Man for them. So, you know, this to me is something that down the road, it's a good book to hold. And the reason I'm holding it, obviously, is because of condition. Okay? So, listen, I wasn't expecting anything phenomenal out of this book. But when I look at it now, I don't know if Dolph did something to this book. I don't know if he replaced this with another book that I sent him, but it's a really, really nice copy. Now that I'm really looking at it, I mean, before I show you guys the grade, let's just take a look here. I mean, again, a black cover, but showing really no signs of wear. I mean, this is actually a really, really, really nice book, and the back cover is just, whoo, that's dynamite. I don't know if you guys could see the grade. I might have just showed it, but in case you didn't, in case you missed it, the grade on this book came back a 9.6, which is easily, in my opinion, for vintage Bronze Age Marvel comics, this is the best book we have in our collection as far as grade is concerned. A 9.6 is not something I was expecting out of this. You know, I was thinking maybe somewhere between a 6.5 to an 8, you know, 7 to 8 maybe. I did not realize, definitely when we sent it out, how good in condition it was. I mean, I'm not saying that I really examined it closely, because we bought these books, and then probably after showing the video, probably the next week after that, we just sent them over to Dolph to press clean and send them off to get graded. So I didn't really examine this book closely, but even if I did, I probably wouldn't have thought it would have come back a 9.6. 9.6 white pages. It's really nice. I mean, again, the back cover is, you can see why this thing got white pages, because look at that. I mean, it's a brand new book, which from 1979 is just amazing. And listen, this is the reason why I'm holding on to these 2 books. This is the reason why this is the first comic book really that I've ever bought on this channel that's going into my personal collection, because the condition is immaculate on this somewhat key issue. It's not a huge key, but it is a key nonetheless. 9.6 key issue comic book that has a lot of relevance in today's market. To me, it's a long-term hold. It's a book that I want to continue to hold on to, and a book that I hope over the long term will continue to go up in value. But I understand that right now comic books are at their all-time peak, and the odds of this book dropping over the next couple of years are very great. But again, when I say long term, I'm talking 20, 30, 40 plus years of holding on to this book. It's going to be hard to replace this, is what I'm getting at here. You know, there's not a lot of not a large amount of copies out there that are going to replace this book. I'm not sure what the consensus is as to how many 9.6s or 9.8s are out there on this particular book, but you could look all that information up online. So yeah, super stoked. This is a long-term hold. This is probably the best Bronze Age book as far as condition goes in our collection. And we looked it up, and this is about a $500 book right now as it sits, and off of a $1.20 investment. And you know, I think it was like 24 or 25 bucks to get it graded. That's a really good buy in my opinion. And now we'll get into the last book. To me, this is the coolest book because I bought this book, unlike the Marvel Premiere Astonishing Ant-Man number 47 here. I bought this book in a long box with a bunch of other books that when I bought it, you know, we weren't really even sure what we were buying. We just kind of bought the whole collection in general. We spent $200 or $250 or something on the whole long box and bought a bunch of these books. This book, however, I picked out myself because I really, really love this book. I really love this subject matter, and I really love this artwork. So for me, even though it's not the highest grade book in this run of CGC books, it is my personal favorite. And that is from King Khan 2. We bought this from a fella who owns Zap Comics. X-Men 99. We sent it off to get graded because I really felt that this was an immaculate book. It is a key first appearance. It is first appearance of Black Tom Cassidy, which obviously in the Deadpool movies, he's presumed to be dead. We're assuming that he is dead. Deadpool killed him in a very anticlimactic way. In my opinion, what they did with that scene where, and if you haven't seen the movie by now, you know, tough luck. Click off the video because I'm gonna explain it because it's been several years that the movie's been out. Deadpool and Cable are fighting in a armored prison vehicle, and they kill Black Tom. I think Cable shoots Black Tom in the head by accidentally, all for kind of a cheap gag. And you know, that's one of those decisions that when you're making these movies, you have to consider. I mean, obviously they can bring Black Tom Cassidy back. Obviously, with the multiverse out there, with the fact that it's a superhero movie, you can bring these characters back. I'm not saying that they killed Tom Cassidy off permanently forever, but let's just assume that they did. You sacrificed a really amazing character with a really amazing significance and a really amazing story, all for a cheap laugh that really wasn't even that funny. I mean, you know, obviously you give it a little chuckle, but the joke itself wasn't really that good, and you sacrificed a key character. So that's just one of those decisions that doesn't make sense to me. I love that movie, obviously, because Juggernaut was in it, and Deadpool in general, Ryan Reynolds in general, is doing a great job with that character, in my opinion. But, okay, so here it is. We bought this book at King Khan 2 from a dealer, very reputable dealer in our area, in the northern New Jersey area, Zap Comics. When we bought it, he had it graded at somewhere between an 8.5 and a 9.0. That's how he sold it to us. I believe we paid $140 or $145 for this book, which is paying up, but we bought it under the presumption that, you know, at least I told Dad that I want to buy this book because we already had this book in Dad's collection. But I said, this book is in such great condition, I would much rather sell the book that we have and hold on to this book for a very long time. So when we got these books graded, I threw this in there to Dolph, and I said, you know, you can press and clean this, although I think it already was pressed and clean. But I do want to get this book graded because I bought this book to be a long-term hold, and I was not expecting a 9.4 grade back, which confirms for me that it is in fact a long-term hold. Look, if this book came back a 9.0, even if it came back a 9.2, it would definitely be a book I'd consider reselling. to try to make a little bit of money on it. Obviously, we paid up for the book, but getting it graded in a 9.0 or a 9.2 would increase a little bit of value to it. But getting it graded back a 9.4, it's just on the cusp of me holding on to it permanently. In other words, it's going to be hard for me to replace this book at a graded 9.4. I can obviously, you can buy a 9.6 or a 9.8. This book just presents so well. Honestly, I think the reason I got a 9.4 instead of a 9.6 is just because, I don't know if you guys can see, it has that little chip right up there in the corner. I think that's the only reason it came back a 9.4 instead of a 9.6. In its present condition at a 9.4, we looked it up online, or at least Dolph looked it up online during his live stream. You can go check that out. And the fair market value on this book is somewhere around $300. So, obviously it was sold to us by a professional dealer who had it between 8.5 and 9.0. So the fact that it comes back 9.4 is just unbelievably lucky. And that's why I bought the book, because I was looking at it and I was like, I don't care if it's an 8.5 or a 9.0. It's a really clean copy. And obviously it comes back a 9.4. Let me show off the back of it. The back's really nice. 9.4 white pages, once again, by the way. Really nice, no issues here. Super stoked with this book. And like I said, guys, I'll repeat it again. This book, the X-Men 99 and the 9.4, and the Marvel Premiere number 47 and the 9.6, these are the only two books that I've ever bought on this channel that I would consider to be long-term holds in my personal collection. For me, when I'm collecting these kind of books, it's all about condition and it's all about significance. And key first appearance issues or key storyline issues like the Marvel Premiere, these are books that you want to buy in high grade. And when we're talking about Bronze Age books, when I mean high grade, I mean 9.4 or higher. So that's why this book just made it for me to be a long-term hold. Like I said, if it came back a 9.0 or a 9.2 or lower, I'm looking to move this book maybe and just hold on to it, but always keep selling it in the back of my mind. Right now, these two books, guys, selling them is not really in my brain right now. I'm just thinking I want to hold on to these books for a very long time because they are great stories, great characters, and they're in great condition, and they're certified now. They're certified great condition. It's not a raw book. I would never hold on to a high grade key issue raw book that I felt would be a long-term hold. If I bought this book knowing that it was really high grade and that it was a key issue and that it was a great story that I really love and great artwork, great Sentinel artwork on here, and Colossus and Cyclops and the whole X-Men. It's one of my favorite things to collect. I would not have bought this book and kept it raw for very much longer. I really wanted to get it graded because I wanted to hold on to it. And look at that. You ask and you shall receive. This is what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for Spider-Man 300s. I'm not looking for non-key issue books. I'm looking for key issue high grade books to keep. Obviously I'm looking to buy any kind of book that I think I can kind of flip on and make some money, and I usually just buy stuff that's within my domain, that's in my wheelhouse of knowledge. But these are the only two books that have been purchased on this channel that I am keeping in my collection. And that's, once again, I'm speaking for me. Dad has his comic books, Dad has his collection, and he has the stuff that he likes. My dad, personally, he loves raw books, so he wouldn't, if he were to buy any of these books, he wouldn't have gone out and got these books graded necessarily for an quote-unquote investment purpose. He enjoys reading the story. So obviously you can't enjoy reading the story if you get a book slabbed up. So if that's not what you want to do, if that's not how you want to go into this, if you want to be a collector in the sense that you want to enjoy your hobby and you enjoy reading the books, then I would not suggest grading the books, because it would be difficult for you. I understand it would be hard if you really want to read this story and you don't want to crack it open. I understand that. But if you want to be an investor, if you want to invest in collectibles, invest in high grade key issue stories, at a fair price. Keep in mind, $1.20 for this book and $145 for this book, or $140 for this book, which was paying up, but in the grade that it came back at, it's actually a really good discounted price, because like I said, this is about a $300 book and this is about a $500 book. You got to be smart with these things. I'm going to link that video in the description below. It's a great video. Reserved Investments, Sean on Reserved Investments. I don't know him personally, but he gives the best, probably the best collectible investing advice on all of YouTube. So I'm not trying to steer you guys in any one particular direction. I'm just showing you what I'm all about. I'm just showing you what I'm interested in. I'm showing you my perspective on these things. And my perspective is that this guy knows what he's talking about. I value his opinions and his arguments very much so. I think he's a very smart guy, especially when it comes to stuff like this. And like I said, if you watch that video, you know I'm not following his advice to the T, because one thing that he mentions in his videos is in the investing video is don't invest in any comics after 1975, and this is obviously 1976 and this is 1979, so that right there, I'm missing rule 1 right off the bat. But I'm also really I'm really gravitated towards the things that I love and enjoy. So I have faith and I believe in these books. And like I said, at the price I got them at, especially the Marvel premiere, it's kind of hard to not hold on to it, because it's great. It's a great book. At a great price. So everything in here for me, you know, these books here, they are going to be up for sale. Dad and I are talking about doing a comic book show or a toy show or something like that. So these are books that we would probably take to a show to put on our wall. Obviously the Eternals one at a 5.5, the regular Eternals one, that's not really a great book, right? Like I said, it's kind of between like a $35 and $55 book maybe. But yeah, I mean, so and look, that's not that we're doing that anytime soon. It's just that's something that we're contemplating doing that. But yeah, everything else that has been bought on the channel, with the exception of the few rare items, is up for sale. So that's gonna pretty much do it. So again, I'm really happy with this video. I was really happy with this submission. I watched so many videos of guys that are not satisfied. You know, they have a book that they think is going to come back a 9.8 and it comes back a 9.2, or they have a book that they think is, you know, a 6 and it comes back a 4. I didn't have that issue, and obviously we still have 2 more books that are out there. We have the 2 Jungle Action books that are out there. If you haven't seen the video where we bought all these books, you know, it's not a very entertaining video because I didn't get any actual footage of it because I was on vacation. But if you want to just see the whole box of comics that we bought for, like, I think it was $250, it was like $1.20 a book. A lot of key issues in that box, just to let you guys know that the hunting out in the wild still exists today. You know, I think probably maybe the only reason that we were able to make that purchase is the fact that we were so far out of state. You know, this New Jersey area, everybody keeps telling me it's a very competitive area, and they're right. You know, there's no doubt about it. This is probably the highest competition area for collectibles in the world. So good luck out there trying to find stuff like this in our area. You're probably not going to, but I mean, hey, even at Meadowlands Flea Market, we have heard and seen multiple times guys finding big key issue books for $1 and $2 a piece. So they're out there, guys. Got to keep looking, got to keep hunting, you got to get lucky. Thank you guys for watching. I really enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making this. I really enjoyed the whole process. Dolph, once again, thank you for pressing and cleaning these books. Obviously, he bumped these grades up every bit of what they got, so super stoked about that. It's great to have good friends in the community that help you out for stuff like that. And yeah, that's gonna pretty much wrap it up. I'll see you guys in the next one. Like I said, plenty more content coming. It just got to give me a little bit of time, guys. Got to give me time on it, and we'll get it out. So appreciate it. See you guys in the next one. Goodbye.